Alrighty, back into the swing of things with some more off-season news, this time about former Richmond defender Jacob Blight. Let's get into it. So I was on Twitter the other day and this tweet popped up because a couple of Collingwood supporters that I follow retweeted it, and it said, Jacob Blight being chased by Collingwood, has done a physical and medical, so they are keen. Now, that was by Tiger_hype, as you can see sort of here. And sometimes you have to take tweets with a grain of salt, especially when it comes from, not like John Ralph or Gettable or any sort of person like that, any sort of journo. And I wanted to do some digging to see if they have Tiger Hype has a history of good news, good rumors or anything like that. Couldn't really see anything, but we're going to run with it anyway because I did hear Jacob Blight's name being chucked up a couple of times. I think it was on Gettable once, or some other journo sort of talked about it. So we're going to run with it, and we'll go from there. So let's get into it. Jacob Blight, former Richmond defender who was just delisted by the club along with Kazitsky. He was picked number 2 in the mid-season draft last season, so 2024. He came from Peel Thunder in the Waffle and was absolutely smashing it in the Waffle. Look at this state game that he played against the Samful. Had 17 disposals, 13 marks, and a tackle. So a big key defender.
Yeah, so he's one that we mentioned, I think it was after Nathan Murphy's retirement, and we kind of covered something on Zero Hanger TV and editorially on who they could use to replace Nathan Murphy. Now, at the time, we said he's not a like for like. This is more of a big body key forward. And yeah, just really balanced, great intercept mark, obviously strong behind the ball, good user of the ball as well, importantly.
Has only played 10 AFL games since coming from the mid-season draft. Apparently, Collingwood were pretty into him back in 2024 before Richmond took him with their pick number 2. Has kicked a couple of goals, but he is a key defender. Now, I did say that Jacob Blight was delisted, so if Collingwood were to pick him up, it would be for nothing. It would be as a delisted free agent. It would be a pretty good replacement for Charlie Dean, seeing as we need defenders in our team. Like, we don't have big key defenders. That's why we are looking at Stephen May. That's why we were going for Jack Silvani. And Charlie Dean, although he didn't really pop up like we thought he would, he was still a defender that if some of our guys went down, we could play him. We saw that happen this year. I think Jacob Blight is from the research that I've done and I've viewed some of his highlights and stuff like that, he is an improvement on Charlie Dean. Now, like I said, he was delisted, and Richmond fans weren't happy. Like, look at this from this article. Really disappointed with this decision not to offer Blight a contract extension. Thought he played pretty well, in my opinion, but didn't get a chance. That's a blight on the club, pun intended, I guess. He's going okay. Blight looks amazing. What are we doing? Letting Blight go is actually really strange. I thought he played really well at senior level, and I'm surprised he wasn't played more. Now, that's the sentiment of a lot of Richmond supporters that I've been seeing online, especially in comments and stuff like that. You can see here in the Richmond VFL side against Essendon, he had a best on ground performance earlier this year, 25 disposals, 19 kicks, 11 intercept possessions, and 9 marks. Now, that's all well and good for us to sort of look at his highlights, look at a little bit of his history, but I needed to get in a little bit deeper. So I asked my mate, Big Footy Tigercast, what is Jacob Blight like? Why was he let go from Richmond? And we didn't have time to do it over Zoom or anything like that, so I got him to write it up, and it's right here that I'll read for you now. Jacob Blight was a really interesting one. Came back this preseason, ultra fit, winning our 2-kilometer time trial, and was ticking all the boxes during the preseason. Our defense was arguably our strongest and healthiest line. We had 8 to 9 key position defenders, players fighting it out. So right there, you can see why he was down the pecking order a little bit. He did play the first 5 games of the year though. When he came in, I thought he looked fine at the level, but we did need him to play some slightly different roles, which is where things turned. Now, throughout the season, he was moved around a lot. He just wants to play as a key defender just straight out. He was played in the ruck. He went forward, kicked a couple of goals there as well. So they were moving the Magnus to try and keep him in the team, but he does his best work as a key defender. And it sounds like, from what Big Footy Tigercast is saying and things that I've been reading, is he just didn't like it. He didn't like being moved around. He wanted to stay down back because that's where he does his best work. Big Footy Tigercast goes on to say, most interestingly, he only needed one more AFL game with us to trigger an auto contract extension, but we flat out refused to play him for the last 5 to 6 weeks, and he didn't do much wrong to be dropped. That's kind of like the Mitch McGovern situation at Carlton. Needed one more game to trigger a clause. Carlton refused to play him in the last game or so. Same here with Blight. His VFL form in the latter part of the season, he was taking 10 plus marks a week and 20 plus disposals in the back line. So you can see that he seems to be a really, really good player. Good in the VFL, did some really nice things in the AFL when he was down back and not, changing from the ruck or anything like that. But this is what Adam Uzo had to say after one of his games this season.
Blight is just an amazing athlete. He's got a massive tank. He's obviously a big boy. And our leaders just helped him at ground level. So he did what he could around stoppage and then used his strengths around the ground, and that's his engine and big frame. So, we might have found something with Blighty, which will be handy throughout the year.
Now, there's a couple of things that sits really weird with me. If you're having 10 plus marks in the VFL, 20 disposals in the back line, having all these intercept possessions, I know Big Footy Tigercast was saying that they were pretty sound for defenders, but when you're playing that well, you've got one more game to trigger on your contract, and you're getting refused to play for 6 weeks. I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. There's obviously something else going on that supporters and the outside looking in can't see. Was there some fighting between coach and player, or was he refusing to play anywhere else besides defending? We don't really know, and we're not going to know. If there is maybe an attitude problem or something like that, maybe getting delisted is a bit of a kick up the butt. But again, we're not really going to know that. I am just assuming, because saying that, he didn't do much wrong to be dropped, a great VFL performances, and then, being refused to play in the last 6 games when you only needed one more game for a contract extension. I don't know, just feels really, really weird to me. So it looks like, to me, Collingwood would be going for a bit of a Moneyball option. We have done this before. Remember Tim Memory was a delisted free agent, and look how well he did. Jacob Blight really fits going for a younger profile. Does that mean he'll get games next season? Probably has to go through the VFL ranks. Remember, we do have Reef McGuinness coming in. I don't see Reef McGuinness as a big key defender like I do with Jacob Blight. I see Reef McGuinness as taking over Howie's spot. I think it'll be a bit of a no-brainer. If you can get someone cheap, replaces Charlie Dean. You've already listed Charlie Dean. You've got one spot on the list free. Just a no-brainer to go for a player like this. I know there's going to be a lot of delisted free agents or just delisted players coming out soon. There's a bunch of names. I even heard Sam Frost names being talking about. I don't really want any more older players, unless it's, someone like, for example, a Petrarca, who's a little bit, late 20s sort of thing. I don't want to go for these 32, 33, 34-year-old defenders. Even Stephen May, I'd be wary of, not only because of the culture thing, but just because of that older body thing. I'd rather persist with Frampton, Reef McGuinness, and, Jacob Blight if we can get him. I just think that it is, a no-brainer. He looks good, would fit our system well. If there is a bit of an attitude problem there, Craig McRae is the best guy for the job. Let me know your thoughts down below. Should we be going after someone like Jacob Blight? Do you have any more delisted free agents that you've seen that you want us to go for? Until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later. Go Pies.